Shalom friends, Rabbi Jacques Kukerkorn to talk to you about this Parasha Shelach Lecha of this week. Interesting Parasha that begins with a very famous story of Moses sending 12 spies, 12 leaders, 12 princes from each tribe to spy upon the land of Israel, and ends with an interesting rule that may on the appearance to be unconnected to anything of when we put a tzitzit, to put a blue thread of sky blue, tchelet, says in Hebrew, into the tzitziot, which evidently are a reminder of God's mitzvahs, God's commandments. And the question is, what's the connection between them? I would say that for people who wear the tzitziot, they are a sign of the mitzvah, to remember the mitzvot. For us, perhaps metaphorically, to remember the mitzvot, God's commandments. And then you have to put something sky blue. Sky blue reminding us to look to the sky, to look up, to look towards something better, to look at with hope, with optimism. And that being optimist is an essential quality for a Jew, because Jewish life does not work without hope, and given our history. But I think and the idea of looking up, it's also exists in the Torah. For instance, in one account when the Israelites are fighting with the Amalekites, as long as Moses can keep his hands up facing the heavens, the Israelites win in battle, and when his hands are down, he's looking down, they lose in battle. Showing a connection, showing also that clearly our thoughts impact the result of our actions. And this brings us back then to the beginning of the Parsha, where we have 12 spies, not 12 common people, 12 leaders of the people of Israel. Each one of them was a prince of their people, who come and give an account, and I paraphrase, saying, we went to this land, and this land is wonderful. It's a land that overflows with milk and honey. It's an Eretz Zavat Chalav U'Devash. Eretz that overflows milk and honey for people coming from the desert where they had nothing. It's the most delicious thing, milk, honey. The fruits are wonderful, but the people there, they are huge. And the cities, they are huge, and they are walled, and we're never going to succeed against them, because they're huge, and we seem to ourselves like grasshoppers, and so we must have seemed to them. And there's so much strange here. Let's start with the idea that they were not grasshoppers. They may have seemed to grasshoppers like to themselves, but they had no way of knowing what was in the head of the other people, but they assumed that to be the case. Also, this event is not happening in a vacuum. This is happening after God has shown already so many miracles to the people of Israel, took them out of Egypt. They managed to vanquish people who was not only much larger than they were, the greatest world power. Egypt was lost to a small band of Jewish slaves led by God. God had done already other miracles for them, the manna, the battle against the Amalekites that I referred to, and yet those 10 of the 12 leaders who gave this ominous report clearly lacked faith, lacked confidence in themselves, to think that, now we have done so well so far, but now we're going to fail. That was the thinking. And that was such a horrible thing that, in fact, this led to a situation where those 10 leaders, as well as everybody else, was never allowed to go into the land of Israel. The only of all the generation of people who were in the desert that were allowed to enter the land of Israel were the two other spies, Caleb and Joshua, who told the truth, who at least had hope, who knew that with preparation, with planning, with common sense, with an understanding of reality, and with God's help, we can prevail. And I think that's a great lesson for us, that we should always go with confidence, go with hope. Because, again, Jewish life does not work without hope. And I think that the lesson becomes very clear in the Torah now, when you understand the beginning of the Parsha, the lack of faith, the lack of hope, the lack of optimism, and commandment of having tchelet, the sky blue, always look upwards. That's it. Shabbat Shalom.